Hello and welcome to another product spotlight. My name is John and today we're looking at this O-scale American Car and Foundry 2-bay Centerflow hopper. This model was produced by Atlas and it's part of their Premier series. These models have an MSRP of $92.95 to $98.95, depending which paint scheme you go with. And they also have a 3-pack available for $279.95. That's also MSRP. Keep in mind that the MSRP is usually not the price that you end up paying, but rather the suggested retail price by the manufacturer. Atlas has these models available as both 3-rail and 2-rail, as specified on their website. The minimum radius listed for the 3-rail versions is 031. In any case, Atlas has a whole bunch of different road names and road numbers available, and your best bet, I think, is to go to the website, see if they have what you need, and then shop around for the price. The paint and markings on this model are nicely done. Should mention, because it's O-scale, all of the markings on it are legible, and in many cases you don't even need magnification to read what they say. It's nice that you can see some of the underbody detail from the side view here. We'll take a look at that later. There's also some detail coming up from the underside that shows up here along the bottom of the sill, or just below the sill, I suppose. And there's a lot of separately applied detail to look at here. It also has these metal grabs here. At least they look like metal on both sides. Here's a look at the brake end of the car, and you can see that the grabs are in fact very nicely done. Metal grabs, separately applied brake wheel detail. There's chain detail that goes down into or through the brake platform. And then there's detail back in here, which I'll attempt to show you from the other angle. I call that the detail behind the detail. And here's that detail behind the detail. It looks like a triple valve over here. There's an air reservoir over here. There's all kinds of piping. There's 2 pipes that go into the reservoir and 1 that goes into the car body down in here. So plenty of detail to look at. Here's a brief look at the other broadside, and I'm going to tip the car up just a little bit so you can see this appears to be a separately applied part here, and it's visible on both sides of the car. The roof detail on this model is pretty impressive. The walkways on top are separately applied plastic, but they're molded in such a way as to look almost like photo-etched metal. There are some separately applied grabs here for the ladder access right on each side, and the hatches appear to be separately applied parts. Now, they don't open, but they do look like they're separately applied, which is pretty cool. Here's a look at the underside detail. Has pretty good gate detail here and here. And then you can see that it has body-mounted metal couplers. And these are metal wheels, and the trucks actually have what looks like working springs in them, which is pretty cool. And one of the sort of tells, I suppose, on this model that it's actually a 2-rail model and not a 3-rail version is the fact that the wheels are more to scale, and the coupler is as well. Normally toy trains or 3-rail models will have a much larger, oversized coupler, and most of the time that coupler is also truck mounted instead of being body mounted. As you can see, this is another very well done release from Atlas. Every time I have a O-scale model that comes across the bench here for our spotlights, I'm reminded how much I like this scale. It's large enough to make noise, like real train noises when you run it. And there's a heft to these models that's just not really present on other smaller scales. So, good job, Atlas. I'll see you next time.